Hello and welcome back to Pocket Wellbeing Friend, the podcast that fits in your pocket and walks beside you through the mess, the magic and the everyday moments of life. I'm Dan, and if today's one of those days where everything just feels stuck, like life's gears are grinding but nothing's turning, then you're in the right place, because today's episode is all about that foggy, frustrating feeling of being stuck. Mentally, emotionally, or even practically. You know the one, you're scrolling but you're not reading, you're thinking but not deciding, or even moving but not going anywhere. It's that weird mix of stillness and pressure, like being frozen in place but also on the verge of something you just can't name. So if you're nodding already, make a cup of tea, or go for a walk, or just settle in on your sofa, because for this episode we're going to hopefully become a little less stuck. So what does it mean to feel stuck? And more importantly, what do we do about it? Well, let's start by naming the thing. Feeling stuck isn't a failure. It's not laziness and it's not weakness. It's a signal, a very human, very normal signal that something inside or around you needs attention. And yet it's one of the most misunderstood emotional states we experience. Why? Well, because from the outside everything can look fine. You might be working, functioning, paying bills, even socializing, but inside you feel like there's nothing moving forward. It's like walking through syrup. You know the feeling. So what exactly causes that sensation? Well, there could be a few things. One major cause is emotional overload. When your brain is juggling too many demands, worries about work, relationships, maybe your health, it just gets overloaded. And then when that happens, the body and brain can shut down movement as a kind of emergency freeze. We talk a lot about fight or flight, but that third response, freeze, is often what's going on under the surface when you feel stuck. Your nervous system isn't broken, it's just trying to protect you. Now, let that sink in. Feeling stuck is your body's way of saying, hold on, I can't move until I feel safe or clear. Another big source of stuckness is being out of alignment with your core needs or values. Maybe you're saying yes to things that drain you. Maybe you're living in a way that doesn't quite reflect who you are anymore. And that can be exhausting. Sometimes we're not stuck because we're doing nothing. We're stuck because we're doing the wrong things for us. And that mismatch, well, it builds tension. Your body and mind know something's off, even if you can't name it yet. And the result? Well, you stall, and you pause, and you hesitate. And that's not weakness, it's wisdom. Do you ever feel like even small choices like what to eat or what to wear or even what to watch feel too much? Well, that is decision fatigue. It's a real measurable state where your mental energy gets so depleted that even simple choices feel overwhelming. If you're constantly having to make decisions, especially emotional ones, your brain might pull on the brakes and you feel stuck. Not because you're lazy or indecisive, but because your mental muscles are tired. It's like trying to run after your legs have given out. I mean, you could technically, but should you? Probably not. Remember, exercise responsibly. Let's have a grounding pause for a moment here. Wherever you are right now, physically or mentally or even emotionally, just stop for a breath. In through the nose and hold. Out through the mouth. And again. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Now feel your feet on the floor. Notice the support beneath you as you breathe. Let this moment be enough. There's nothing to solve in this second. Just notice what being stuck feels like for you. You might want to put a word to it. Frustration, maybe? Numbness? Confusion? But just name it. Quietly. There's no judgment. So, Why does noticing it matter so much? Well, because the moment you start to understand what stuck means for you, it stops being this shadowy and shameful thing and becomes a message, a signpost, not one you have to decode perfectly, but one that can gently point you towards action or a pause or a change. And that is the whole point of this episode. Not fixing everything overnight, but slowly, kindly, gently getting unstuck in a way that fits you. So, now that we've unpacked what it means to feel stuck, let's explore something equally important. How do we start moving again? Not in a frantic, fix it all now kind of way, but in a realistic, human way. Because let's be honest, when you're in that stuck place, even well-meaning advice like just take action can feel annoying, even impossible. So instead, this part is all about gentle shifts, little levers, tiny movements that remind your brain and body that you're not actually frozen, you're just paused. One of the most powerful antidotes to feeling stuck is reducing the size of the step. When everything feels big, break it into tiny movements, like micro movements. Let's say you've got a big thing you should be doing. Applying for jobs or sorting your flat out, writing the email, cleaning the kitchen, whatever it is. When you're stuck, the full version feels far too far away. But what's the smallest action related to it? Could you open a blank email draft and write hi? Could you stand up and walk to the kettle? Could you Google something for 60 seconds? These sound laughably small, but they work because action, any action, tells your nervous system, see, we can still move. This is how momentum starts, not with clarity, not with energy, not with the grand plan, but just with one doable tiny step. Even laying out your shoes for a walk tomorrow is a step. Even sitting on the floor for a stretch is a step. Let that step be so small it almost feels silly. That is the sweet spot. Feeling stuck often comes with looping thoughts, the same worries, the same questions, the same sense of why can't I just? Sometimes what you need isn't to solve the loop, but to interrupt it gently. So, here are a few non-intimidating ways to break that stuck mental cycle. Change rooms, stand up and go to another part of the house, even just for a minute, because physical movement disrupts mental loops. Open a window and breathe. Let fresh air touch your face. It doesn't change the problem, but it changes you for a second. These aren't magic tricks, they're interruptions, and sometimes that's all you need to tilt yourself just 1 degree in a different direction. Well, here's the truth we don't hear enough. You don't have to feel motivated to move. And yes, I know this goes against so much of what we've been taught. Those messages of get pumped, get inspired, get in the zone. But what if you're not? What if you can't get there? Well, that's okay. Because real change often starts before motivation. It starts with action, then the energy flows. That's what makes those tiny actions from earlier so powerful. You're not waiting to feel ready. You're proving to yourself you can act anyway. Motivation is a luxury, remember. You don't need it to begin. You need compassion. You need space. You need the freedom to try something small without judging yourself. Now, routine can be your friend when you're stuck, but only if it's soft, not strict. If your days have been blurred into sameness, structure can give shape. Not a packed timetable, just a few gentle anchors. Some examples are a set time to wake up or get out of bed, and open the blinds or curtains, or A recurring pause moment, maybe 3 p.m. every day, and you have a 5-minute sit and breathe and a cup of tea. We're not aiming for a perfect moment here or a perfect routine. We're building in mini moments of reliability, little things that remind your body we're okay, we're safe, we're gently moving. It's like giving your day handrails. We often imagine that getting unstuck means some big leap, quitting the job, moving house, or going all in, but most real change isn't a leap. It's a crawl or a shuffle. It's an awkward wobbly step followed by a pause, then another wobbly step and a half step, and we get there. Because you don't need a leap, you need a lean in a direction that feels like relief. Ask yourself, what feels 2% lighter than this? Not what feels perfect, just lighter, slightly more like you. Now, lean that way, even if you're still figuring out the rest. Now, in previous episodes, we've talked about the power of naming it, and this could work for being stuck too. But you don't have to do it in a big dramatic way. You don't need to have it all figured out. You can just say, I feel a bit stuck right now, and I'm not sure why. And that might be all you need. Often the weight of feeling stuck is heavier because we're carrying it in silence. Naming it can shift something. It creates room. You don't need to explain, and you just need to be heard. Whether it's a friend or a partner or a therapist or even a coach, let it out. Let it land outside of you. It's like opening a window in a foggy room. Here's a wild idea, and I do want you to try it. And if you do, I'd love to see in the comments how you do get on. And make sure you comment on this episode and let me know. So, the idea. Maybe what gets you unstuck isn't doing more, but doing less. Maybe you're stuck because you've been trying too hard. What would it look like to take something off your list today? What could you not do just for today? Could you leave one email unread? Could you delay one decision? Or could you cancel one plan without guilt? Remember, sometimes the most radical act of self-care is saying, I don't have to do all of that right now. Less effort, more space. That's movement too. Okay, so we've talked about what it means to feel stuck. We've explored small ways to gently begin shifting that stuckness. Now let's go somewhere a little bit deeper, because even when we do start to move, there's often someone or something sitting just beneath the surface, a weight that makes everything harder than it needs to be. That weight is emotion, and it's often not just one feeling. It's a tangle of guilt and shame, of frustration and confusion, maybe even grief. If you've ever thought, why am I like this? I should have sorted this out by now. I'm wasting time, I'm falling behind. Everyone else is doing fine. Then I just want to tell you that feeling stuck does not mean you're broken. It means you're human. Because life does not move in straight lines, and sometimes we hit points where forward movement just pauses, and that's not a glitch in the system. That is the system. And yet we shame ourselves, we compare, we tell stories like, it's my fault, I'm lazy, if I really cared I'd have done it by now. These thoughts are really common, but they're not truth. They're just stories created by a brain that's trying to make sense of being stuck. The good news? You can talk back to these stories. Let's pause again on this for a moment. When you feel stuck, you might feel guilt. The sense of, I should have done more. But often guilt slides into shame. The deeper story of, there's something wrong with me. Here's the difference. Guilt says, I did something wrong, but shame says, I am something wrong. One is about behaviour, and the other is about identity. And shame is powerful. It shuts down creativity and it kills momentum. It tells you, why bother? You'll mess up anyway. So what do? We name it. We say it out loud, even just to yourself quietly. I think I'm feeling shame. I think I'm telling myself I'm the problem. It's the gaslighting. Just that act can create a sliver of space between you and the story you're telling yourself. And that space, that's where change begins. See, I told you we were getting deep. Now, we live in a world that celebrates making changes and being on it all the time. So when you're feeling stuck, when you're not on it, it can feel like failing. But the truth is, you aren't failing at all, because rest is productive. Pausing is protective, and reflection is forward movement. Sometimes being stuck in your mind saying, I need to stop sprinting and figure out what matters again. There is absolutely no moral virtue in being endlessly busy, and there is no shame in stepping back. You're allowed to take your foot off the pedal. Give yourself that permission. But that's all easier said than done. So what about some common inner thoughts that show up when we feel stuck, and how might we respond better to them? Almost like a positive affirmation. Well, these reframing thoughts might help unstick your mind. If you're thinking, I'm wasting time, reframe that. I'm taking time to understand myself. Time is never wasted. If you're thinking, everyone else is ahead of me, maybe reframe that with, I'm not behind, I'm on my own path. No one else has lived my life. You're thinking, I'm just lazy. Reframe, maybe I'm tired, maybe I'm overwhelmed, or maybe I need compassion, not criticism. Listen, you don't have to believe the new thought immediately. You just have to offer it like a hand extended to a friend. And eventually, your mind will start to soften. You're talking back to the story. Sometimes we feel stuck because we're holding on to something that's no longer working. A job, a routine, a dream that doesn't quite fit anymore. And letting go feels like failure. So we hang on and we stay stuck. But maybe, just maybe, that stuckness is grief. It's a quiet mourning for the version of life we thought we were supposed to live. If that resonates, let yourself feel it. Grief is a thing that you should feel, not with shame, but with honour. Sometimes getting unstuck isn't about pushing forward, it's about releasing what's no longer yours to carry. Now let me ask you something. If a close friend came to you and said, I feel stuck, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm frustrating and tired and confused, would you say, ugh, you're so lazy, get it together? Well, of course not. You'd say, that's okay, you're doing your best, I'm here. So here's the challenge. Can you offer yourself the same grace? Not just once, but again and again and again and again. Every time the old thoughts creep in, gently return to the grace. I'm allowed to feel this. This will shift. Grace doesn't mean giving up. It means believing in you and that you're still worthy in the middle of all the mess. And that, more than any hack or productivity tip, is what helps people move again. These days, one of the most toxic accelerants for stuckness is comparison. You scroll and you see someone thriving, laughing, glowing, and reaching their goals on social media, and you think, I can't even reply to my emails today. Well, here's what you need to remember. You are comparing your internal state to someone's external image, and that is just not fair. What you don't see are their doubts, their messy mornings, or their stuckness. Everybody gets stuck, but not everybody shares it. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not alone. So what does it actually look like to be kind to yourself when you're stuck? Well, it's saying no to plans because your energy is low. It's letting yourself cry. It's celebrating a tiny win, like taking the bin out or replying to a message. Self-compassion isn't fluffy. It's not self-indulgent. It's fuel. Let's stop for a breath. Put your hand on your chest, if that feels okay to do. Feel it rise and fall. Say this quietly in your own mind. I'm allowed to be exactly where I am. And again, this moment is part of my process. I'm not stuck. I'm pausing. Breathe it in and let it settle. Now you've come this far. The hard part, naming it, facing it, that's already done. Now let's talk about how to stay unstuck, or more accurately, how to keep coming back to movement when life naturally brings stuckness again. Because it will. Stuckness isn't something you solve once and for all. It's something that will visit you, sometimes when you expect it and sometimes when you don't, most of the time when you don't. Your environment really matters. It's not just about where you are, but the space that you occupy. So why not, as I've said before, create a space, a nice area, a corner or a chair, a wobble wallow, candle, some incense, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Your space should whisper, not shout, it should whisper. You're safe to move here. You're free to pause here. That balances everything, and that space is different for everybody. Now, we've already mentioned that routines can help, but only when they're flexible. Think of these not as rules, but of anchors, then things you can return to when you drift. You don't need a 6 a.m. boot camp or a bullet journal, unless that helps you. All you need are gentle check-ins that remind your nervous system, hey, we're okay, we're moving, we're not stuck. The sooner you notice the signs, the softer the shift from stuck to unstuck can be. Now, some early indicators you might be sliding into that stuckness are that everything feels like loads of effort, even if you usually enjoy it, or you're feeling visible pressure to figure it out. When you notice those signs, don't panic, don't judge. Just pause, breathe, and ask, what's one gentle thing I can do to care for myself right now? Because the act of noticing is powerful. Here's something your stuck brain might forget. You've been here before and you've found a way through. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not quickly, but you've moved and you've adapted, you've shifted and you've survived. There's evidence in your own life that you know how to move again. So when doubt creeps in, remind yourself, I've felt stuck before and I've found my way out and I will again. You don't need a full plan. You need faith in your process. It might sound cheesy, but celebration does build momentum. When you do something, no matter how small, do acknowledge it. Now, these are wins. They deserve credit. The more you celebrate the small things, the more your brain believes we're not stuck, we're growing. Now, let's do a final reflection together. Wherever you are right now, take a moment to pause. Breathe in through your nose and hold. And out through your mouth. And again, say this softly in your mind. I'm not broken. I'm not behind. I'm just finding my rhythm again. And say, I don't need to rush. I just need to be kind. Because you've made it through this episode, and that itself is movement. Even if you don't need to do anything else today, this counts. You listened, you paused, you reflected, and that matters. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. You've done something important for yourself today just by being here. Whether you're still feeling stuck or you're feeling a little bit looser, remember this is your own process. You're allowed to go at your own pace. There's no rush and no pressure. And I'll leave you with this. The feeling of being stuck is a signal, not a sentence. It doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're ready for something new. Again, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. And next time, we're going to be talking about how to rest when you don't feel like you've earned it. We'll explore why so many people feel guilty about resting, like they haven't earned it, and why they feel they need to be productive before they rest. I really hope you can join me for that one. Until then, take care and remember, you're doing better than you think.